Welcome to Sports Tonight. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. On the programs tonight, we will be talking about the AfroBasket Championship, which is currently going on in Kigali, in Rwanda, where the Tigers started on a very, very good note. And also, we'll take a look at what's going on in the AFL Cup, where Arsenal, Southampton, Newcastle, and Burnley, they're currently in action. Arsenal leading by as much as 5-0 with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang scoring a hat-trick and also with an assist. A good way, you will say, for Arsenal in the EFL Cup. Also, we'll talk about, well, Serena Williams and Harry Kane. The good news for all Tottenham Hotspur fans is the fact that Harry Kane says he's staying at the club and he will be 100% focused for the team. But I will not be doing all the talking alone. Kane Hammond will be joining me from Chicago in the U.S. to also take a comprehensive look at what is going on tonight, especially the AfroBasket Championship in Rwanda. Kayode, good evening. It's good to have you.
Yeah, good evening, Cecilia. Good to be back on the show.
Yeah, and of course, it's a good way to start the show with the D Tigers. Yes, going into the AfroBasket, we're not expecting so much. But right now, after winning their first game, maybe we can just dream a little bit and think of, well, maybe wrestling the title from Tunisia, but if that is too much, but at least we can, console ourselves with silver. Yes, I'm getting ahead of myself. But with the way they played earlier today, it shows that the D Tigers would not be a team to really just overlook. Because when they started the game, yes, they started like, the Roaring Tigers, just with your name. But somehow, they lost it in between, and then they came back again. Just more like the game that wasn't so smooth for them. Yes, it's the first time they're playing against another team for the first time, having a new crop of players. That's what the coach had to deal with because of, the NBA is currently on, the summer league is ongoing. Teams have resumed training, and most players just couldn't be available for him. He had to make do with the players that are with him. But the good news right now is the fact that the D Tigers were able to beat Mali by as much as 8 points, winning that game 81-73 in Group C. For you, how will you rate this team, the way they played against the Malians?
Well, quite impressive, and no doubt, going by the fact that they were hurriedly gathered together based on the fact that core of the players would have to go for preseason at their respective clubs, those on the NBA and others plying their trade in the continent of Europe and, of course, in Asia as well. But with this group of players, I had cautious expectation. But with what I saw of them today, means with each passing game, they will keep getting better. And under the tutelage of a coach like Mike Brown, you definitely would have to make your inclusion count if you make the team. And we saw how they were almost letting go of a 21-point lead in the second quarter. But they came back like a house on fire, like you did allude to earlier on in the third quarter. They negotiated the game in the rest of the last period, which was the fourth quarter. And they won by 81-73 points. And we saw the likes of Domingo and even Utomi and, of course, Emelogu making their inclusion count. We would say against Mali that we should be expecting much more from the Malians. But our boys contained the marauding Malians eventually, and that's what's important. And if you look at their weaknesses, they were quite predictable with the trace.
Yes.
And if you focus on its side with big men, they would tame the big Tigers. They need to attack the rim more. And with their ball handling and transitional play, they need to improve in that regard. And good to know that the coach, Michael Brown, also mentioned this point, and they will try to improve on it in their next 2 games against Kenya and Cote d'Ivoire. Like I said earlier, if this team do not go as far as we want them to, we should understand that they made the best of the predicament that they found themselves. And it's even a good thing that we had a team to actually present, because some other countries would not have survived this. But because of the plethora of talent that a nation like Nigeria have, we can as well come up with team A, B, C, and D and still try to give our best in a top-notch competition like this. Others argue that if FIBA America and FIBA Europe could shelve their own continental competition till next year because of the Olympics that just ended, the Summer Olympics, that's why is FIBA Africa not doing the same? Do not forget that FIBA Africa moved the AfroBasket from biennial to quadrennial in 2017. So the date has already been on ground for quite a while. So it was difficult for them to just move things based on logistics. And based on that, the Nigerian national team still managed to come up with a team, and you have to give them kudos. Although there is room for improvement, hopefully in games 2 and 3, they'll work on the lapses and get better.
They'll obviously want to work on that. Well, let's just listen to the coach, what he had to say immediately after the game.
Our guys have had contact because when we started training camp, we only had 8 guys, and so we couldn't play 5-on-5. And then when we got here, the new guys were so far behind, we couldn't play 5-on-5. So this is the first time that our team has seen somebody else in front of them. And so there were times when they got tired, and when they got tired, they got really, really sloppy offensively and had a lot of turnovers, and they got really, really tired defensively.
22 turnover.
Yeah, yep, for a lot of points. Yes. We gave a lot of, and then they also got sloppy defensively, allowing Mali to run to the rim and get layups on us. But the bottom line is we have to do 2 things a lot better going forward. First one, we got to take care of the ball, like we just said, and then the second one, we can't foul as much. We made 3 free throws to their 17, but they had 27 attempts to our 4. And it's not all officiating. I mean, I thought there were a couple of times where we got hit and we didn't get the whistle. But we have to do a better job of not fouling like we did, especially versus 3-point shooters. So, you give credit to Mali for continuing to play hard no matter how many points they were up or down. But at the end of the day, we got the win, and hopefully we can build on it.
Yeah, hopefully they get another one. But then against... now, he also talked about what's going to happen in their next game. Just try as much as possible to note what happened in this one and see how they can easily kill off games. Because as a second quarter, it was just a 1-point lead. At the second half, it was just, after first half, yes, after first half, it was just a 1-point lead. That's after opening about 17 points lead or 21-point lead at a point. But in the final quarter, Nigeria was just 20-10, which was really poor. But Coach Mike Brown believes that they can really work on this against Kenya on Friday. Let's listen to him again.
We just got to go play. I mean, there's no secret magic to it. Obviously, we got to, like I said, we got to take care of the ball better. We can't foul. Yes, Cape Verde beat Angola last night, but that's the game of basketball. We beat the USA, and I know it was a friendly game, but the USA has lost games in the Olympics before, and so teams are going to get beat, teams are going to get upset, and what you do is you just hopefully learn from it and grow from it. And we know both these teams are really good. We know both these teams want to win, just like Mali wanted to win today, but we take one game at a time. And while we go into the game, we try to do what we can to try to win. But I believe if we can take care of the ball, if we don't put them to the free throw line, and we take care of the transition game, we're going to give ourselves a chance to win because we have some talented players that know how to play the right way.
Yeah, Kayode, you heard him talking about we having talented players and also playing the right way and also taking it one game at a time. It seems that's what is going to work for the D Tigers because they didn't really have much time together. They haven't played another team. This is their first game they're playing. And remember how they lost all their games at the Olympics. Yes, it's different crop of players, but it's the same name, the D Tigers. And he just talked about how they intend to approach the game against Kenya. And if you look at what's happening between Kenya and Cote d'Ivoire right now, at the end of a third quarter, it was 64-54. So maybe Kenya is a team we can maybe easily beat. And which of these players you feel that can really make a difference, judging from the fact they have some players on double digits in the game?
Well, like I did say, this team is still getting to know each other quite well. I saw Domingo doing excellently well. And of course, the likes of Benjamin Emilogu. These two players, for me, caught my attention. Not forgetting Uzodinma Utomi, another guy who had double digits. And for me, I think with them getting to understand the tactical approach of Coach Mike Brown and his technical team, and of course, the rhythm of the team getting to be more deeper, it means they will have a chance against sides like Ivory Coast and even Kenya. I'm particularly concerned about how we're going to cope against the Ivorians The Ivorians are a potential banana skin for Nigeria. We've seen them do that again and again. I recall them giving us a run for our money at the National Stadium a few years back, although we won that game, but we had to come back from behind. But this team does not have a leader just yet. Though Domingo is the captain, but they are still gripping at straws, getting to know each other as the game progresses. It's just one game down. With the other 2 games to come, hopefully, with the time they've got in training, Coach Mike Brown, with his lot of experience from the NBA, having tinkered even more experienced players, would bring his wealth of experience to bear. And some of these players who has well applied their trade on the continent of Europe and others in the United States would also gel with the coach in terms of his approach and eventually get something out of the group. Hopefully, top the group, and if not, we go into the playoffs, because this time around, FIBA have tweaked their quarterfinal teams, basically, because it's just one team from each group that will qualify straight to the quarterfinals, and the second and third will have to go into the playoffs to determine the other 4 teams who will get into the quarterfinals. Hopefully, we will top the group, because the Ivorians definitely are one team that will give us a depth, that will give us a run for money, like I said earlier. And the Kenyan as well, being tinkered by a woman, Liz Mills, the first woman to head a national team in AfroBasket history. That's a record, and that's just by the way. But I believe the team, like the coach has said, he knows what the problem is. And with the willingness of the players, willing to stick their neck out for the coach, I believe the team will get better and eventually win Kenya. And even if we lose against Ivory Coast, I believe we'll do well in the playoffs. But Nigeria will always want to win. But like I said, let's temper our expectation, because this is a new team that was already gathered together based on the prevailing circumstances that we found ourselves. But it's not a bad showing based on the fact that they dug deep and they got the scarf of Mali.
Yeah, they actually dug deep. Let's listen to the captain of the team, Stephen Domingo, who scored 16.5 assists and 5 rebounds in that game.
It's the highest honor for me to be able to play for Nigeria. I can't really put it into words per se. Being able to wear those letters across your shirt, being able to wear the flag on my chest is the highest honor for me. And for Coach to name me captain is an honor on top of that. There are a lot of great Nigerian basketball players that came before me and that are still involved in the program. And to be one of those people to help represent the country now and hopefully in the future is a high honor for me. Mali was a team that they had a lot of length. They disrupted some of the things that we wanted to do. I think that's going to be the case with a lot of the teams on the continent. There's a lot of tall and long teams throughout the tournament, and so we're going to have to do that, and we're going to have to cut down on our turnovers and make good passes, because they can cut down passing lanes. But that's the case in a lot of places. But with that being said, we're going to go watch the film. I'm going to talk with my teammates, and we're going to make the necessary adjustments to be better going forward. Obviously, listening to the coaches and taking everything they have to say into account as well.
All right, that's our top performer there, Benjamin Emelogu, where he had 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists for the team. He led the D Tigers scoring a chart. On Friday, we'll see what they'll be able to do against Kenya. We have to leave the D Tigers now and quickly talk about EFL Cup that is currently going on. Arsenal, they're 6 goals up per Emerick Aubameyang, already on a hat trick, and also having an assist there. Pepe also on score sheet. Bukayo Saka also scoring for the team. And the games that have been concluded, the only game that have been concluded, Newport County and Southampton. That game ended 8-0 in favor, of course, of the Premiership side. And for Newcastle and Burnley, it's gone into penalties after full time when it ended goalless. For Arsenal, well, they're scoring all their goals, having failed to score in the last opening Premier League games. Against West Brom, they happens to be the better side. And the real guys, the forwards, Bukayo Saka, Pepe, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, they are all scoring. I hope they can replicate this when they face Manchester City this weekend and not just be done with all the goals. Kaide, Arsenal against West Bromwich Albion, they're really playing, and the fans, I believe, they're really happy about this, having started the season on a very low note. If you take a look at the league table right now, yes, it's just 2 games, but Arsenal is not sitting pretty at all.
Well, they are 19th on the log, but it's just 2 games, so it's early days yet. But they need to start winning.
Yes.
Arsenal is a team that you would expect in the top four. They were dismal last season, and their fans were hoping that this was going to be a better season for them, and haven't done well in the market, buying players. And Mikel Arteta is feeling the pressure so much right now. So getting these many goals against West Brom would bode well for their confidence. Though they're not going to have it easy this coming weekend against Manchester City, but, interesting things have happened in football. Who knows? That might just be their turning point to get back to winning ways. But they needed to start scoring. And even though it's in the EFL Cup, but getting as many as 6 goals against West Bromwich Albion, the championship side, who's been there in the Premiership for quite some time as well, it means that they're a work in progress. Although their coach is talking tough. I listened to him last Sunday in the spring game analysis against Chelsea. He said that they are working. They're working really hard. Now, the results are not coming their way, but pretty soon. He doesn't know when, because they are really giving out all their best in training. And he sees this team as one that will get caps of their competition in the nearest future. How soon? We don't know. But that needs to be translated into victories on the pitch of play, beyond you just talking tough and saying your team is good, but translate it on the pitch of play. Good one for Arsenal today. 6 goals. That's very, very encouraging. But they need to be doing that in the Premiership.
That's what the fans will be happy about. Talking about fans that should be happy, Harry Kane, he says he's staying at the club. After the game again, at the weekend where he came out, of course, the fans really welcomed him. He felt, okay, this is home. That incredible reception he had from the Spurs fans, so he had to send out a message because he loved the support they gave him. He said he's staying at the club 100%. He wants to achieve the team to a huge success this season. Or maybe he's staying for a long time. Remember, he actually signed a deal with the team, 6-year contract, yes, in 2018, and so his contract, take a look at 2018 and what's happening now. He says he wanted a new challenge, but right now he's staying at the club. Now, this man, I don't know, someone who just said during the preseason he wants a new challenge, right now turning around to say he wants to remain at the club. What do you see him actually, will he really be able to achieve success with Spurs? Maybe win a title, because that's what his whole desire. Playing in the Champions League and try to get his hand on a trophy before he retires from football.
Well, the technical director, Patrici, and the new coach, Nuno Espirito Santo, they've been able to convince him to stay. Yes, he would want to play in a more competitive side. And if Manchester City are in town asking for your service, at some point, you might just have to buckle to that pressure. And for a side who have offered over £100 million for his service, you will know that they are quite serious. But if you've got a very, very shrewd businessman in Daniel Levy knows that one of his most prized assets is Harry Kane, and he wouldn't just want to let go. Do not forget that Harry Kane did excellently in the Premiership last season with over 20 goals. This is one player who will give you an average of 20 goals per season. And if he's injury-free, for the likes of the South Korean and other support casts, they potentially would give the likes of Chelsea, Manchester City, and Liverpool a run for their money. We've seen how Nuno Santo did with Wolverhampton Wanderers over the years, and getting the support, even the bank support of Daniel Levy, definitely they would want to stake a claim this season. And if he can convince Harry Kane to stay back, it's more about the shrewdness of Daniel Levy, because Manchester City wanted to offer, I haven't yet that is now close to about £120 million with an addition of a player or two. They even want to add 2 players because they want him over, but Daniel Levy said, no, you're not meeting my expectation and what have you. It's because he doesn't want to let Harry Kane go. But if he has to let go of him, it will have to cost a arm and a leg and even a kidney.
Okay.
And stuff like that. And if you want the services of Harry Kane, but I do not think that they will let go of him. And in committing to the team for another season, he declared that on social media. It means he's staying put at least for 1 season. Who knows? Maybe next season he might be priced away.
Maybe. And before we go quickly, let's talk about Serena Williams. For the first time since 2000 and when was the last time? 1997. For the first time since 1997, you're not going to be having Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Serena Williams at the U.S. Open. That's incredible. Now she was withdrawn simply because she couldn't recover from that torn hamstring she had at Wimbledon. She hasn't played in any WTA tour since that injury, and right now Serena Williams will not be at the U.S. Open. The only time she has missed was when she gave birth 2017, but then when she came back, she was in the finals twice, and then last year, semi-finals, and now she will not be there. How huge will this be of a miss to all the fans that will be at Flushing Meadows this year?
Well, it's fast becoming the end of an era for the likes of Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal, and one of our favorites in this part of the world, Serena Williams. She will turn 40 before the end of the year.
Yes. Okay, Kaede, I think we have to leave it there. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully on Wednesday we can do something better. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Mogbe. Have a great night.